Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taxes and Accounting for Musicians and Artists. It's my faithful assistant, Miss Kitty, and go lay down. Anyway, my name is David Certain. I'm a musician, and I'm a former federal government auditor, and so I know a little bit about this. But why make this video? Somebody asked here. Well, you need more than a talking head. I watched some other videos where you have somebody that says, "Oh, if you spend money on a Facebook ad, well, that's deductible as a business expense." Okay, well, it's not deductible because it's a business expense. Those are two different things. And so they tell you that you can, take, your advertising expense or any other expense for that matter. But they're not showing you where does the number go and from where does the number come. In fact, they don't even show you a tax form. I do. And I'm not going to show you now because it'll freak you out. We're going to go step at a time, and it's easy, okay? Number one, this is not tax advice. This is accounting instruction. I've had a lot of videos that kind of say, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, but make sure you hire a CPA. Well, this is for people who can't afford one, okay? Now, I'm not a talking head, but if you want to see what I look like, well, here's my album you can get on any streaming service, and you can actually listen to the music as well as see what I look like. That's what I look like. So, accounting instruction, right? Well, we're going to start with every company, big company especially, have a set of income statements. And you don't need a set, but you need one, I mean to say a set of financial statements. You don't need the whole set. All you need is the income statement for now, okay? So revenue, that means sales. This is stuff you may already know intuitively or formally, but we're going to cover this anyway, okay, before we get to the tax form. This is all the money coming in the door. Sales, you can call it fees for performance, but revenue is the general term. Less expenses. Money you spend so you can make that money, basically. And then what's left over stays in-house, is income, or if it's not income, it's a loss, and then you're in the outhouse. It's better to have it in-house. You're taxed on your income. If revenue goes up, that goes up and more tax. Revenue goes down, income goes down, less tax. Expenses go up. Expenses go down. Same thing. Now let's talk about tax avoidance versus tax evasion. This is important because if we really can't do much here unless you want to lie and act like you didn't make some money, but you claim everything that came in the door. Here we've got some leeway because of the tax code allows us to do something, especially with car and truck expense. Put a pin in that. You're going to like this when we get to it. But this is tax avoidance is where you use the tax code. Tax evasion is where you break the law. We're doing fraud avoidance versus fraud. We want to keep you out of jail. You want to keep you out of jail. And this is all some pretty serious business. Yeah. This is working out pretty well. I wanted to do this in one take, live, no edits. So that's why if there's a mistake, the information is second to none. A cost is a business expense if it is necessary, customary, and reasonable in the running of your business. So I like to use the example, I think it was Van Halen that had they wanted certain colors of M&Ms. They wanted M&Ms, but I think just the red and green ones. Is that what I understand? What I remember? And so if you were the promoter, you had to pay somebody to, or to, the caterer. Somebody has to sit there and pull out the red and green ones and put them in bowls. And then probably nobody will eat them anyway. It's that kind of stuff. So you would think, is that necessary? Is that reasonable? Is it customary? Well, it was in the rider of the contract. And so by definition, then, yeah, it's necessary to satisfy the contract. That's part of what they're getting. And yes, it's a real business expense. So I told you that I was going to tell you where the numbers go and from where the numbers come. So let's talk about from where the numbers come. Okay, for revenue. All right, you'll probably deposit stuff in your checking account. You might receive it Venmo or PayPal and the like. You also might get paid in cash. Now, back to the fraud thing, is cash non-taxable? A lot of people say, "Oh, pay me in cash and there's no taxes on it." No, what it is, you're just not declaring your income properly. Now, sure, you can take cash and act like you didn't take it, but we're doing our taxes. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to do the right thing, okay? And just like we want the music to be the best it can be, let's follow the rules, okay? The best that we can. Maybe break them later. But for now, just like with music, you got to learn the rules before you can mess with them. So information sources for expenses, your checkbook, when you write checks for things, your credit card statements, could be a box full of receipts where you spent money on cash. Okay. And that's where you'll get the transactions that you'll total up. For cash payments, the receipts you toss in a box. And so these are places where you'll look for the transactions that you're going to look on your Schedule C. Now, Schedule C, that sounds, we're getting serious now. The real name is Schedule C of Form 1040. 1040, you might recognize that's your tax form, your main one. You'll have schedules 1, 2, and 3. You'll have your Schedule A and your Schedule B and your C, and I think there's a D, and F, I think, is farm income or some shit. Excuse me, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to use profanity. Schedule E and Schedule C are similar, except Schedule E is what you use, let's say, if you have rental property or royalties. That's where you put that. Things that earn you money. The Schedule C is an income statement. And just like I showed you back here, well, it's not just like, it's a little different. But let me pull this out to have handy to remind you of, money coming in, money going out is what is left. So now, don't freak out. This is a tax form. And see, it says like right there, yeah. Oh, this is really great. Schedule C of Form 1040, name of proprietor. Now, there's the stuff up here. This up here, we're not too, well, from here on up, we're not too worried about that yet. Now, I want to tell you, too, that my dad wouldn't do my taxes for me. I said, do my taxes. He said, no, you're going to do them yourself. I'm going to teach you to fish. And, well, I don't want to learn how to fish. Well, but I'm going to teach you how to do your taxes. Okay, I'll go that. He says, it's basically this. Where it says name, put your name. Where it says address, put your address. And this is important. If you don't know what it is, chances are it does not apply to you. So I'm working on them. I got the address and everything. Cool. And then I'm working on the income stuff. And I said, hey, Pop, what are dividends? And he says, you don't know what they are? I said, no, I don't know what they are. Then they don't apply to you. Then later he explained to me what they are. So it's like this. And I want to give you some confidence because, look, if you could play a song, if you can learn a song, if you can draw a picture, there's a lot of people that can't do anything close to that, okay? And so if you're smart enough to write a song, play a song, drive a car, not quite. But if you're a creative person, this is not creative. This is just rules. All accounting is a bunch of rules, just like a card game. And they have their Hoyle, and it's called Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Well, anyway, let's get on to this now that your eyes have glazed over looking at this tax form. Let me pull it up here a little closer. If I can do that without messing anything up, which I don't think I can. Oh, I can do this. Well, yeah, okay. Man, this is, now you can see how amateur this stuff is. But hey, it's about helping people. I'm not charging anything for this. God, I wish I hadn't crooked it. There we go. Okay, so this may be hard to see on your phones. You may want to get on the big boy computer. But the revenue portion of the program is this number right here, basically. Actually, it's here. This is your gross, all the money coming in. There are some adjustments here before you get to there, which probably won't apply to you. So this is the big number that we like. And then if you look at over here, down here is the your total expenses, that number. And then your net income is that number. Now they call it different stuff. So what I think we should do is let's go through the categories of expenses that you have to put your expenditures into. And I'm going to make it bigger so you can see it on a phone. And let me move this over a little bit. I got this little tripod here. This is not working out too poorly. Okay, expenses. They're in alphabetical order too. Okay, so advertising. Like I was saying, if you do a Facebook ad, you can take that off on your taxes. And well, so that's where you put that. If you bought business cars, even that's where you put that. Now, car and truck expenses. This is wonderful, and I'll show you later when we look at the detail of the ones that are really important. This was the most important one, and because it disappears a lot of income, especially if you drive your car a lot, like musicians do. And I'll just, in summary, real quick, I'll tell you there's two ways to go about it. You can take your actual expenses, or you can keep track of your mileage and use the IRS mileage rate, which is much higher than what it really costs you to run your car. Okay, and so here's a good example of tax avoidance. That's according to the tax code. You make a lot of income disappear if you do the mileage thing. You have to have a mileage log. Now, even if you do actual expense, if you use the vehicle for part personal and part business, you still have to have a mileage log to figure out the percent of that and of each. And so keep the mileage log. It's like a little part-time job you have. It's going to save you a lot of money. It's going to make you a lot of money on getting rid of making income disappear. Yeah, it's like excuse me, Miss Kitty, I'm working here. You always have to, don't you? Anyway, that's Miss Kitty. She wants something, but I'm trying to do this in one take without any edits. Without any edits. Miss Kitty, go away. Please. I'll feed you your favorite food in just a little bit. So, It's like 66 cents a mile or something like that. It's for this year. I should know that. I should be able to tell you that. In fact, I did look it up, but my memory is good. It's just kind of short. Commissions and fees. Let's say you pay a booking agent. He takes some money off the top. If you're claiming the net money that came in the door, well, then you don't need to claim that because it's already taken out. Okay. Contract labor. That's the cats in your band. Yeah. And if you, this is important, if you spend more than $600 on one particular person in a year's time, you have to send them a 1099. I'm going to make a special video on what happens if you don't file your 1099s. But as long as you don't pay anybody more than, sometimes I've had people pay me like $5.99. And I was saying, come on, Jim, why don't you pay me $7.50 and then file a 1099? No problem. Depreciation, chances are does not apply to you. Employee benefits programs, no. Insurance other than health. You could allocate that from your house if you're doing the home office expense thing. That's a whole nother video though, okay? So probably you're not, unless you have some insurance directly related to your instruments, then that's not, it'll become under your homeowners and that doesn't go here. Interest, your credit card interest goes there. And your mortgage interest, but that shouldn't apply to you because unless you bought a building just for your band and your music business, okay? Let's say you got a music store. Let's go over here to this next little column, and we'll go over here to O, and office expense. That's your paper clips and your stamps, and if you have to buy toner or paper for your printer, did I say postage? That can go there. Whatever it takes for you to run your little office. Pension and profit sharing funds, no. Rent or lease, you might pay rent on a commercial space. That goes here. And you have a choice between vehicles, machinery, and equipment. You might be renting a violin, rent to own. A lot of people do that. Or other business property, that's where you would put you renting the rehearsal space. Repairs and maintenance, that's self-explanatory. You got to fix your bass, right? Or replace a blown speaker, let's say. Supplies, you get strings, guitar picks, let's say. I don't know why I'm being so guitar-centric. I don't even play guitar. Just, rosin, if you're a violinist, let's say. Anything that makes it necessary for you to be a musician. Back to the reasonable, customary, and what was the other one? That's a quiz. We'll pop up that later. Taxes and licenses, probably nothing there. Because the sales tax that you pay is already in these other categories. Deductible meals, that's when you're spending the night away from home, okay? And travel, that would be your flight, that kind of stuff. Of course, that's self-explanatory. However, if you drive, you get the mileage, so that's really cool. All right, deductible meals, utilities, that's related to a space that you rent if you pay them. Wages, you probably don't have an employee like that you send a W-2 to, like a real employee. Other expense, and you better add a note. And this is like something that's not going to apply to you. All right, so we take that number 7. First, we add all these babies up, right? We put that there, subtract that out, and that goes there. And then it goes to the bottom of the form where it says on that, it will tell you, put on Schedule 1, line 3, you see, and Schedule SE, line 2. So if you follow these little instructions of where these numbers go, that will tell you what forms you got to get. It's good to print them out and do them by hand. But so anyway, that there is your Schedule C. Damn, there was something else, but the cat meowed and threw me off my game there. Oh, the most important part is I told you this is where the numbers go. Now, where do the numbers come from? Let's review that real quick and how physically you're going to do that. Okay? What you're going to do, get like a legal pad or a big pad of paper and pull up your Venmo, just write it down. You know, like this number, that number, this number, that number, and then go to your PayPal and add those up and go through each of your month's bank statements on your checking account. Okay, and that's kind of like the master for everything you're doing tax-wise. These places are like secondary places, but that would be your primary collector of financial information. On the revenue thing, you just look at all your deposits. And the IRS calls any deposit a revenue and, you know, is subject to taxation unless you show it's something else, like repayment of a loan or a gift to a close relative. Now, information sources for expenses, your checkbook, your credit card statements. And so each month, you can go down your checkbook or just use your bank statements from your checking account. See, I should have bank statements right there. But then your credit card statements, what you do, you look at your checkbook, you go, oh, there's the strings I bought. Date, vendor, date, vendor, write it down, and then the amount. And every time you see a transaction, like you write it down, and then you add them all up, and that bottom line. And you have on your sheet of paper a category for the expenses. And so let's say office expense. You'll have a sheet of paper that says office expense. And you'll see, oh, you bought some staples here, the date, from where, amount. And you probably just use the back of that, huh? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's better. And so you have a sheet of paper for each expense item that applies to you. So anyway, don't let this freak you out. I might put in the comments to the video of where you can, a link to this form. But what I'd rather do is just give you the link to irs.gov or just tell you about it. You go there and you start looking for tax forms yourself, and you learn how to do that. Every form has instructions with it. You don't have to print them out, but when you fill out those forms, you need to read them. And well, anyway, I hope like and share. I don't know why they say that. Do I get paid for this shit? Anyway, my name is David Certain. I'm a bassist, an artist, composer, arranger in St. Louis, Missouri. And I hope I've helped you all out. certainbass.com is my website. And you can reach me at david@certainbass.com. Thank you very much and good luck.